Hey there, sir. I see you're keeping your car clean. But by the sound of your engine, you don't do a lot of interior cleaning. Here, take my card. Best auto shop in Gotham. There's a discount code on there too.
What is it?
I know her. That's Dex.
Dex? The girl you fancied a few years back?
I'm Dex.
Paul.
The way you were driving, your car, I thought maybe you were heading to the race.
Thank you all for tuning in today's video. And we have another great interview lined up here today with Isabella Tugman. She voiced Dex Starling in our Batman project here. And it was a very fun character to kind of like write and expand upon because she was in the Batman prequel novel. And now we're kind of bringing her to life through comics / voice acting. So yeah, I think Isabel was the perfect candidate, and here she is with us today. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I am pretty good. I cannot complain.
Awesome.
So, the first question I always ask, well, always, I really don't do interviews like this anymore. But
That's okay.
the first question I'll ask is, what got you into voice acting? I think I read somewhere that it was an audiobook.
Yeah, so I do a lot of audiobooks, but it's kind of been a long journey. I've been an actor my whole life. I knew since I was a toddler that this is what I wanted to do. And I always figured I would do voiceover as one of the many things that I do, but I didn't anticipate how much I would end up like dedicating it as my main thing. And I absolutely love it. And my first audition was actually like a corporate job, like back in 2008. I don't think I booked it. It was a long time ago. But then in like 2015, I think was when I really started to get serious. And I booked an audiobook and started working on that. And then I started booking other things as well. So it was kind of a mix. It wasn't just audiobooks. I think I did, yeah, some corporate stuff, promo stuff, commercial, just like light local commercial stuff in the beginning. But certainly character work has always been my passion and main focus. I feel like that's where my strengths lie. So it's always really cool to do projects like this where I get to play really cool characters. Not to mention the Batman universe and Gotham and all that. Always been a fan of that. So very cool.
Right. Yeah, for sure. We're definitely glad to have you in the project. It was fun. I was able to get Isabella's for this role through the Voices 123, I think,
Yes,
.com.
voice 123. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that website has been helpful. I actually found that website through an audio production back when I was in college, that audio production class, and I was like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, this is neat. I might use this later on," and here I am using it later on. So, what kind
Perfect.
of
There you
made
go.
you like just go jump the gun on the project? Like, you know what? I will give this a shot. I'll give this kid's project a shot.
Yeah, and like I said, I think it was just the character work stuff always draws me in, and I skip past a lot of auditions. I get tons of auditions through Voice 123, so I am a little selective, but I just saw, "Ooh, this character is me." First of all, I am Dex. Second of all, love Batman, and then I love character work and supporting indie creators. It's really cool to see what people are creating. So, the passion that goes into that, the creativity, I just love being a part of it. So, that's why I auditioned, and I'm grateful to have been brought on.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
we're grateful to have you. It's definitely been fun working on this project. Editing it, getting the pages from the illustrators Jackson and Kay. They've done an awesome
Uh,
job, and it's been like it is really like a passion project for me. Like I
yeah.
started it, I was like, this will be fun to do, and then it started getting like bigger and bigger. I'm like, well, this could be like a big thing here. So I kind of tell me about like, have there been any like highlights in your career where you're like, whoa, this is like something really cool that I'm being a part of, you know?
Always. I get that feeling constantly, and it's hard for me even to, like, grasp all the different things because, like, every new project is exciting, especially
Mhm.
when it comes to character work. So, doing lots of cool audiobooks. I'm really excited for Potent Dogs coming up. Potent Dogs
Okay.
is a Korean smash hit cartoon, and it's being dubbed, into English, and I get
Okay.
to play, several characters, the main character's mother, but also one of the superhero dogs, which is super fun. It's
Ooh,
kind of like, Transformers meets Planet of the Apes, but with dogs, and
gotcha.
the show has everything. It has, like, the action and the heart, and it has singing, and I am a professional singer. So
Okay,
my
nice.
my passion really lies in those projects where I can both act and sing, and I do character voices, and it's a blast and a half. So, super excited for that one. I have some games coming out, which are awesome, doing a lot of books, doing some thrillers, which are fun right now, doing some good series. So, yeah, always good things.
It definitely does sound like you're busy, but that sounds like the fun
Yes,
busy, you know?
it is.
So,
It's the best kind. Yeah,
yeah,
I love
that's
it
awesome how you're involved in all of those cool projects and stuff that like you're passionate about and things like that.
very
So
much.
when you have all those projects going on, how do you kind of like balance everything out, like between getting your voices right for one project and switching it over to another? Like, how do you handle that?
Balance, what is that? I don't know what that is. No, I'm lucky that I do come from a performance and vocal background. As a professional singer, I'm used to manipulating my voice, so it doesn't take a lot for me to transition between characters. I get a lot of practice doing that and in, audiobooks on a daily basis. I have to do all the character voices in my audiobooks, from
Right.
men to Russians to, like, whatever they are, I'm doing all the voices. And, so that's a lot of training
Oh,
constantly.
yeah.
As far as schedule goes, that's another matter. I mean, it's Saturday. I usually work every Saturday. I don't like taking days off. I have to force myself to take time off. It's like, "Oh, what's this thing called a boundary? Oh, yeah, I need to, like, make
Right.
time for friends and family and health and
Oh, yeah,
life."
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I do have, I schedule my calendar and I try to allot slots of time for stuff, and things pop in at the middle of the day. You get rush jobs in the middle of the day that you have to, like, pivot and start working on that and then go back to it's just crazy, but I enjoy it. I think maybe it's like the ADHD thing. It's like, "Ooh, shiny, shiny. Oh, back
Yeah.
to this. No, shiny." It's like, "Ah, oh, mic bonk. Oh, I got excited." Yeah, so it's always an adventure. Every day is different.
Oh, yeah. Definitely adventure is the word that I would use to describe that. So
Yeah,
that's awesome. I'm glad you're enjoying the ride, you know? And,
definitely.
another question I have is, like, along your way of doing your voice acting, singing, all of your, voice
All the
talent,
things,
yeah,
yeah.
all the things that you do, how have you, like, been able to, like, improve yourself or, like, fine tune and hone in on the things that kind of, like, make you you?
Yeah, the training never ends, and that's actually one thing that I love. I actually did a workshop last night of all things. It was an amazing master class, with audiobook publishers. That last one was Podium Audio, but I do all kinds. So not only master classes, but yeah, coaching, training, workshops. I did one with Andrea Toyas the other day with Blizzard Games. She's the casting
Okay.
director who cast Diablo 4, which is freaking
Oh,
awesome because
wow.
I've been a fan of that from the first one. And so yeah, I'm just always training. There's always things to improve on, acting, accents, connection, authenticity. I did some, regular people talking coaching. What is that called? Conversational read.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how do I be a person? I don't know. We have to learn even things like that because I don't know. When you live your life as a character, most days you forget how to be a human. Just
Yeah,
kidding.
I can
No.
see that happening.
No, but I'm always working on all kinds of stuff, from commercial to radio, marketing. I mean, there's tons of stuff. Branding. I'm running my own business. I'm wearing a lot of hats. So,
Right.
always learning. Yep.
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear you're still learning throughout the process, and it seems like even though you're quote unquote learning, you're still being like, productive while doing it and
Yep.
having
There
success.
is a balance. There's a juggling act going on of all the things. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. The next question, I had it in my head. It flew out. I'm gonna see if it flies back in.
Okay.
Um,
I know how that goes.
yeah. I'll ask this then in place of that. With doing all the juggling, how do you kind of like like, you said you don't really like rest days, but like how do you kind of like make sure your voice doesn't get overused or that you're like not straining for certain things?
Yeah, again, that goes back to my vocal performance training. If it hurts, I don't do it, first of all. I know my
Mhm.
voice well enough not to push it to a point where I can do damage, because that can ruin my career, and I will never work in voice again, which would be devastating because this is my passion.
Right.
So I just know, physically when I have a limit, but lots of rest, lots of hydration. A lot of people avoid dairy and caffeine and alcohol. Everybody's a little different. You learn what things affect your body. I have like all kinds of little tricks. Like I have singing straws that you can like exercise your voice with, which is kind of wild. I have
Oh,
all
interesting.
these exercising programs. Yep. I'll do vocal warm-ups. I stretch. Your body is it's a full body thing acting. So you exercise, you stretch, stay active, stay healthy, maintain a healthy diet. Like it's all connected. So that again comes from years of being an opera singer and theater and just having to perform, every
Right.
night. You just learn how to take care of yourself. So I do rest when I need to. If I'm tired, I will take a nap, or whatever, and then I'll just make up the time later. So it's good. But rest, that's probably my biggest thing. Rest and hydration.
Right. Yeah. Hydration does seem to be important. I
It's
just
huge.
spoke with the voice actor for Alfred, Gavin
Mhm.
Duff, and he was telling
Yeah,
me about like his hydration, and I like that's kind of when I realized I'm like, oh, it is like really important because he was saying the same thing. Like he
it's
does yoga,
essential.
he takes care of like his
Yeah.
whole body and things like that. So I didn't really
Mhm.
realize that like it was like a whole body thing. Like I thought it was
It's
just like you don't speak for one day, something like that, and then just
Well,
go
you
back.
may need to do vocal rest. If you've strained your voice, there is
Mhm.
something called vocal rest. You carry around a sign and say, it says, "I can't talk. I'm on vocal rest." That's a thing if you strain your voice. But yeah, you gotta warm up. It's really like being an athlete. People don't think about that, but this is a mechanism of muscles. You're
Mhm.
using muscles in your whole body, even from your diaphragm through your lungs, and it's a full body experience. So you're training like an athlete, you're exercising like an athlete, you can hurt yourself like an athlete. So it's just the same thing. It's just with your vocal cords. This is your sport right here.
Right. I like that. I
Yeah.
like that analogy. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. And,
Yeah.
with all the roles that you do and have had, is there like a dream role for you, like a gig that you're like, this would be like the pinnacle right here? Like, do you have a list of things like that?
Well, again, like I said, like every new project, I get that feeling. Like I'm
Right.
always excited to play new things. But I've had a lot of characters that I love, and I guess Podin Dogs is one of the ones I'm particularly excited about just because I always wanted to be in, like, musical cartoons. I guess the ultimate would be if I became, like, a Disney princess voice or something, or Pixar, like one of the
Right.
major motion picture animated films, or
Mhm.
like, a lead in an incredible cinematic, video game production. Like, I'm a big fan of, The Last of Us. So
Okay,
something
yeah.
like that would be killer, like a role like Ellie or something. Oh,
Mhm.
man.
I
Like,
could see
so
it.
that
I
would
could see
be
it.
right. That's like the ultimate goal other than becoming an EGOT, of course, an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony award winning,
Oh, I
and
got you.
Audie. I should add Audie to that. EGOTA?
You got
EGOTA.
it.
Maybe I could be the first EGOTA.
That
Gosh,
sounds cool. I like that.
I'm making things up. But even it's not about awards for me. For me, it's just the experience of doing what I love every day. I'm grateful for every character that comes my way. It's always fun. So
Mhm.
I shoot high, of course, but I love the small indie stuff too. Like this was great. I can't wait to see how this turns out. I'm always excited. Everything
Well,
I
yeah.
do.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad you're excited for it because it's been really fun to work on, and it's been really testing my audio editing skills and just editing skills in general. I love video
Yeah.
editing,
Yeah.
and I've always done it for fun, and this is
Yeah.
kind of like the biggest capacity I've had to do it in. But
Yeah.
it's like it feels like a lot of pressure, but then it's also not because I'm like
Mhm.
working with like, professionals like you and then Jackson and Kay and then my brother's working on the music and stuff. So I'm like, how do I make this like how do I not mess this up? Because you guys did your parts perfectly. And if I like spike the audio too high or do something with this, it's like I ruin it. So it's been like
Aw,
an
it's a
interesting
learning
process.
curve. Yeah.
It's
That's
been
good
interesting,
though.
but it's still fun.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
so about two more things here. Since this is a Batman project, I have to ask, do you have like a favorite Batman show or movie or any superhero type of thing?
I've always loved Batman, all of them. But I especially love the Christopher Nolan
Oh yeah.
movies. I
Mhm,
love Christopher Nolan. I think he's a fantastic director. And I kind of like
mhm.
the dark style versus the more silly style stuff.
Right.
I always loved Harley Quinn, gotta say. I know that's kind of like cliche at this point, but I do. I love the Harley Quinn. I'd love to play
Oh
her.
yeah.
And I've just always loved the whole superhero universe throughout Marvel and everything. Big fan of X-Men. I loved Storm growing up, and Gambit was another favorite.
Oh yeah, Gambit's
Um,
cool.
Gambit's badass. So, but I used to dream of being Supergirl when I was a kid, just all the things. And now one of my favorites is Spider-Gwen. Now
Oh
that,
yeah.
like, they're
Mhm.
they're showing Spider-Gwen in the Spider-Verse, and so I dressed up as her, and I was excited because she's blonde and she has a gap in her teeth,
Right.
and I'm like, "It's like me!"
That's me.
So, that's me. I have a Spider-Gwen costume, so she's
That's
cool too,
awesome.
and she's a dancer, and I like to dance too. So,
Perfect
yeah.
role.
Yeah, yeah, maybe in the live action in the future,
Exactly.
they'll
We're putting it out there, you
bring
know?
me in, put it out there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. And with voice acting, like in all these roles, like with me, I actually took it upon myself to do the Batman voice and Bruce Wayne for this project because I was like, I made this. I've watched the movie, a good handful of times. I've like memorized all the lines, so it's like I know his voice and all that. And like it took me a while to like get used to like hearing my own voice like in the project and like worrying about like, oh, does this sound good or like that. But I've heard from other people that they're like, yeah, this is pretty good. And then like my friends will go like, this is kind of funny because they like know me and know my voice and stuff.
Right.
So it's like weird for them to hear that. So
People
like,
are shocked all the time when they hear stuff I've done. They're like, "That's you?" And I'm like, "How do you make your voice sound like that?" And I know,
right.
it's weird to get used to hearing yourself when you're not used to it.
Hmm.
But I think ultimately forget what it sounds like, focus on what it feels like, because you focus on that truth of the performance and that connection to
Right.
the piece, and then you won't have issues. If that's what you're focused on, you'll be good. The
Well, I think
character voice is secondary. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's honestly a good point because it's like really there is a lot of emotion behind this project. Like
Yeah.
it's a story of like change and transformation and kind of like going through stuff and making hard decisions. And it's like I've been there before. I'm sure a bunch of other people, everyone's basically been there to having to make tough decisions. And
Yeah.
it's just like when I like look through the project and it's like, okay, this is like what drives me into like doing it is like making sure that element is like kind of felt throughout, that it's like an underlying theme. So I think that's
Yeah.
a good thing to keep in mind even with like voice acting is just like focus on like the feeling as opposed to like how it sounds, especially as a professional, because you sound good. It's just like making sure that you portray the right thing, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. It's about that connection. I feel like at the end of the day, that's what we're here for. And
very
that's what
true.
draws audiences in, to the stories. We all have that human condition, right? Like you said, making tough choices, and there's great conflict in Gotham and the Batman stories. He comes from a dark place. He's Batman because of a tragedy, and that has inspired him to help people. So it's cool. I've always loved the Batman stories and characters. So
Right. Well, I'm glad I got to bring you into one of the projects, and hopefully.
yes, thank you.
Yeah, and last question here. What's something that you've learned? It doesn't have to be like voice acting related. It could be, but like something that you've learned throughout life that's like kind of been something that you take with you along the way. Like this is something I can hold on to get me through tough times.
Absolutely. I have a lot of those. I've been through some things. Never take anything for granted. I know what it's like
Mhm.
to lose things you don't even think about, and that's painful. So find joy and gratitude in every day, every opportunity. And one of my favorite quotes is, "You never know what worse luck your bad luck has saved you from." That's a
Mm.
Cormac McCarthy quote, and it's so true. So when you're having something
Yeah.
bad happening in your life, manage to keep that perspective and find joy. Yeah, and great gratitude. Those are the biggest things.
Oh yeah. That's huge. Being positive even when it's hard, because like you can think back on the good things that have happened, but then there's always like a flip side to it. Like it may be bad now, but usually it tends to get better.
There's
So
always silver linings if you know to look for it, and,
yeah,
even on the
looking for
worst
it. So,
days yeah, even on the
mhm,
worst days, it's like, you can just say, "Find 3 good things about today," and it could be the sun was shining, it was a beautiful day, I ate tacos
mhm.
for lunch,
Ooh,
I
yeah, it's
talked
a
to my
good day for you
mom,
to
like,
talk about.
whatever it is, like, so you could be having the day from hell, but there's always something you can find good
Right.
about it, so that's important, I feel like,
That is
just
very
shifting that
important.
focus. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Isabella. I really appreciate your time today. They're taking your time away from your, busy schedule. So it's a pleasure talking to you. And I know the people out there watching, they are going to take away a lot from this conversation because I've taken away a good bit. So
Oh, thank
I'm
you.
glad we
Yeah.
got to have this conversation.
Cool. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. This was nice.
Of course. Yeah. Well, thank you. And I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. And there'll be more content on the way. And I hope you have a good rest of your day.